So if you don't, we have the receivers in the back for you to get the translations. It's very important that you return those before you leave the room. You're going to be in jail here until you return them. There is a restroom over there, so you can't leave until you return those. We'd like to welcome you to the Portada Latin Americans Conference Summit. We had the content conference this morning. It's a widely circulated magazine in the world from Brazil. So he's going to be interviewed by our friend Cynthia Evans, and they're going to talk about Brazil and everything that's going on in Brazil. And of course, that's brought to you by Publicitas. And then we're going to have Chafia Sanchez to discuss Latin American branding stars. That's going to be a pretty good panel. And then we're going to end up with the big event, if you will. Is the interview with Nick Delton from Gawker. And if you don't know him, you're going to know him today. And he's a pretty important guy when it comes to digital. He's created 8 different brands, digital brands, that are being read by 40 million people. And he's probably the most, Huffington Post and Gawker are probably 2 most important digital news brands right now. So that's going to be at the end, and that's sponsored by IMS. But
thank you, Bob, and I also want to thank our team who's been working very hard for weeks now. Thank you so much for coming. It's our 5th annual event, and we're growing every year. There's people from Spain, there's people from all parts of Latin America, and of course of the US and of beautiful Miami too. Our theme this year is getting ready for the big game, and that needs to be done on several levels, which are reflected in the summit's content. One is getting ready for the big game of the 2014 World Cup, the 2016 Olympics, both to take place in Latin America, in Brazil. We will have tomorrow Benjamin Jankowski, global head of media at MasterCard, who's going to show us how.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I want to thank Portada, Marcos, and Bob for giving us this opportunity to present and to introduce one of our largest partners in the region. As you know, and I think anything I say about Brazil is going to be redundant. We're going to hear a little about that from Claudio in 2 seconds. But when Marcos came with the idea of doing something about Brazil, we at Publicitas immediately thought about the largest publisher in Americas of magazines, which is Editora Abril. And as you guys know, Editora Abril publishes Veja magazine, which Claudio is the publisher of. So who better than Claudio and Abril, who are the experts in that market and who lead that market and the region in that area, to give us their overview, their perspective, the present. So Claudio will be presenting us for 15-20 minutes on the market, a little bit on Abril and on Veja and the power they have. After the presentation from Claudio, Cynthia Evans will be conducting an interview, asking him questions about the market. And again, you guys are more than welcome to send your questions so that Claudio can answer on Brazil. Cynthia is presently the CSO for Latin America at MEC, that's the Chief Strategy Officer. She's also the Research Director for Group M. Cynthia has held several positions leading sales, marketing, and research at Group M and has worked in Latin America for 12 years. So we have 2 experts in the region who, after his presentation, will be talking to each other and giving us more answers about this hot market. So that's all on my side. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation. Claudio, over.
Só uma questão de preparo. Mais uma vez, os Jogos Olímpicos e a Copa do Mundo são bem-vindos. Tá? Eu tenho quase que certeza que só fomos escolhidos para sediar esses 2 grandes eventos porque era o momento do Brasil sediado em função da sua economia. Consumidores, vamos falar deles. Nós somos o primeiro em perfume. Ninguém consome mais perfume no mundo do que a brasileira é. Tudo isso. Esse grande campo de consumo que é o Brasil. 4º no mundo em automóveis. É claro, é fácil entender por quê. Novos consumidores, classe C, crescendo milhões de usuários, e que 86%, que é 86% dos usuários de internet no Brasil. Convidados do COI. Então vamos lá. Brasil hoje é o 7º país em número de eventos internacionais que acontecem por ano. 3,6 milhões de turistas são esperados na Copa das Confederações, ainda esse ano, daqui a pouquinho. Copa do Mundo está se injetando 70. O mais impressionante é que semanalmente é feito 90 mil downloads pagos da revista Veja. Semanalmente, 90 mil downloads, mesmo dentro da editora Abril. 85 mil são assinaturas pagas, o resto são downloads free. Então, tem um negócio crescendo e muito aí. Twitter, eu não sei quem entrou no Twitter aqui hoje, eu nunca entrei, mas nós temos 2,5 milhões de seguidores. Isso é lição de casa bem feita, é uma marca bem feita, é uma marca que cuida de notícia, que tem velocidade, que segue a nossa página, o nosso perfil. Facebook, igualzinho, 1,8. Nós somos líderes em notícia no Brasil. Se vocês quiserem falar com quem é líder de notícia no Twitter, ou seguir, ou no Facebook, Veja. Não há outro exemplo. Agora, eu gostaria que vocês prestassem atenção. Isso tem muito a ver com o Brasil. É a história da nossa capa, a história moderna do Brasil. Quer apagar a luz? É isso aí. Essa é uma revista rápida, verdade. Obrigado a vocês. Eu acho que é uma boa viagem. Era isso, Lúcio Grimaldi? Alguém vem aqui? Olha aí. That's why I do not work. Sound good.
You do a duet?
That's right. Would you like to sing?
I don't know.
Michael Bublé? It's so wonderful. Let's go. If you're speaking slowly, I can understand your English.
Yes,
Very
I
well.
will speak slowly.
Okay.
I'm from Texas. We all speak slowly.
Are you sure?
So, we're so glad.
Mas nós temos o pacote para print, nós temos o pacote para print, mobile, tablet e internet. Mas nós temos também a opção de eles comprarem, dos anunciantes comprarem isoladamente. Agora, na minha opinião, as coisas devem ser feitas, nós estamos testando ainda, devem ser feitas separadamente. Por quê? Quando o assunto é emergente, é novo, o meu medo, como uma revista do tamanho de Veja, ou um veículo de vocês, o meu medo é que a internet, e foi assim no começo, eu já dirigi a Globo.com, a TV Globo é a parte de web da Globo.com, que vire troco, just changes for the big business, you know? Então você precisa ter muito cuidado na sua negociação, senão você mata o filho.
Corridors in the world where people most frequently concept of priceless cities that I just spoke. So it's a perfect change of minds for us to invest instead of a regular priceless commercial to embed the priceless message with a regular program that has nothing to do with a credit card. So this is the third consecutive year that we're going to be running this program together. So it was a great case of the agency that bringing innovative idea on how we can link our brand beyond the means of payments and very linked to our strategy. And the program talks about soccer, but at the end of the day, the program is presented by MasterCard, and consumer get exposed.
ESPN, came and was a perfect bundle of the innovation, the partner, the situation. What is your expectation on innovation? Because I think this should be in the top of the list. I was expecting innovation to be in the top of the list.
I think personally, or happening in many consumer good companies, we talk a lot about innovation, but we need to define really well what is going to be an innovation for our consumer, or our brand. And I need to say it. I know it's full of agencies and maybe a couple of clients, but at clients we are complex. So I say it, it's my fault. So yes, we are complex, and also innovation sometimes could be difficult to sell internally. So at some point, I am looking for my partner, my media and agency partner, and I hope promotional partner, to be my partner in crime in selling the innovation. Why? I have many indirect clients.
I was just going to pick up from what Jessica and Brenda said. I think that
But I see a trend coming, and the trend is more in the brief and the marketing plan.
The moment that we are living as a world, like emerging markets growing, mature markets declining or kind of flat, so everything is going so fast, digital growing so fast, so many brands and maybe I can say our approach in digital is really sui generis, I'm gonna say. So we are learning with our partner because it's different strategy compared with you. So for me, point of sales is more relevant than digital right now. And in Latin America, how we can prove we can connect the point of sale with the digital world. We are doing and trying some pilot tests. So at some point, sometimes we are not clear enough. I need to say, as a company's brand, we are changing all the time. Also, everyone mentioned here the whole internal customers, so that we.
Yeah, if you actually look on Gizmodo, if there's an Amazon link.
Is there a connection, guys, back there that we can just look at Gizmodo.es or .com?
Look at the .com.
Can you?
But wherever an editor includes an Amazon link, we actually pull out we basically pull out a little inset automatically, you can actually basically pretty much buy the product directly on the page. There's no real reason why there should be separate media sites and retail sites. That ideally.
Is that Gizmodo?
This is the WWC.
Oh, BlackBerry.
That's funny. So that's BlackBerry taking over the front of Gizmodo on the day of the Apple. I'll hang out for a drink afterwards if anyone wants to have more of a chat, or if there are any questions that you guys didn't get to.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What to expect in Brazil for the rest of the year. We really had a great panel discussion with Shafia Sanchez on with three major clients on the challenges that they're facing right now between the clients and the agencies and so on. And then Nick Denton of Gawker had a terrific conversation with Laura Martinez of our own Portada about how Gawker came about, how it developed, and the new tools that they're seeking to develop as they move forward into Latin America and other emerging markets. And then we really had a great networking event sponsored by Batanga, Open Bar. It was great. I know a lot of you had a great time. Today we have a terrific day.
Good morning. Thanks for indulging me for a few minutes this morning. What we really wanted to do was introduce Critical Mass to you really briefly, and then we're sort of excited to make a little bit of an announcement today about our expansion. Critical Mass, yeah, there we go. We're about 700 people, and we're a digital agency. So grown up in digital, 17 years old, and really do full service digital work. Everything from mobile to user experience, to websites, and campaigns, social programs, that sort of thing. So the full service creative through strategy, through technology. And we're about 8 offices right now, based largely in North America, Europe, and with a digital production facility in Costa Rica, which is our fancy name for measurement and analytics, and really. An exciting digital space. We're a little bit strange in that we started 17 years ago in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Not exactly the hotbed of agency land, and have really sort of expanded outward from there. That sort of scrappy underdog feel has been transported throughout the world as we've been expanding globally. And what I'm extremely excited to do today is announce the opening of our new Latin American regional hub in San Jose, Costa Rica. So we're actually starting some work already, largely driven by HP as a starting point, but we're extremely excited to build on the infrastructure and the tremendous talent that we've put together over the last 5 years in our digital production facility, and add a full-on critical mass capability based in San Jose to service the region. So that's kind of our news today.
How many people know about AMD? Who it is? Oh my God. Okay, thank you. Okay. Well, it's hard to explain to my mom, even though it's hard to explain. It was a funny question that our CMO did a month ago here in Miami. Please explain me the way that you explained to all the AMD office. Global. It was in the Lowe's Hotel. Explain me how you explain the rest of the people who is AMD without mentioning the others, the dark side. Because, it's awful, that to say, I'm working in Pepsi. Pepsi. Yeah, I never heard of it. Yo no puedo esperar más que la persona disponga del tiempo de su trabajo o del PC o de tenga algo en su casa para poder entender qué parte del producto. Incluso mismos los retailers nos presionan porque tienen tanta gente que necesitan que estudie y que esté entrenada, que hay una competencia por entrenar a su gente de ventas que le quita tiempo de ventas. Entonces, el resumen es, no importa dónde estemos, nosotros tenemos que llegar. Obviamente llegar al consumer market is really hard because we need a lot of money, but we started with the distribution channels. It's our most nearest clients. So, and let's say los más fieles, those one we have contract with. So that's the thing, and that's our the purpose that we are developing these kind of tools, applications in AMD in order to train.
Taking over the world, and they have done a heck of a job bringing the AMD back. Really, it's amazing what they've done at AMD. Okay, we're going to move on now. For those of you tweeting, I know there's a lot of you tweeting out there. Some of my friends from the Washington Post are tweeting all the time. So tweet is hashtag Portada Latam. Don't tweet anything badly, just try to be pleasant. Go ahead.
Are you presenting the other guys? No. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Todd Wilson. He's an SVP and Manager and Director of Starcom. Max Siegel from Copesa, he's the CEO. Axel Steinman, he's the Vice President of Emerging Markets, Advertising and Online Business for Microsoft Advertising. And finally, Diego Fernandez, he's the Director of Media and Digital. Okay, welcome guys. You know, data has today a very important role in all the advertising arena, in all the process from research, media planning, measuring, optimizing, and learnings. A long time ago, probably media planning and buying was more partially an art, it was a software. Today, it's more like a science. We have very hard information, and with this accurate information, some things have appeared during last years, as for example, the possibility of matching the publisher unsold inventory with the advertising goals.
John said, you know, what are the backroom deals going on? That's the reality that I see. I don't have this.
Years ago was less than half of it, which means it's growing way fast. And it's because, you know, we are connected. And Mexicans are, I mean, connected Mexicans are known.
The telecommunications monopolies into the marketing or through the marketing world 20, 15, 10 years ago. And the mode is still kind of like, well, but we can get so much with TV. You know, and I think that's changing rapidly. And the companies that move faster than the other ones are the ones that are going to win. Because it's a reality. I mean, there's no way of stopping this thing. You know, it's either you move to the digital world, engage with your consumer, let them create the conversations, or you are going to fall behind.
A couple of other data that I want to add is
Friendship than a battle, more businesses together, more finding ways of potentializing your huge markets. Both countries are huge markets, so maybe working together would be a better idea than competing frontally against each other. Yes.
Just last comment. I also think that it's up to Mexico and Brazil to counterbalance what's happening in Venezuela, in Argentina,
Thank you. Yeah.
in Peru.
You're so right.
In that, you know, I mean, these two big economies and politically powerful countries also within the region don't set the pace of these things. You know, Latin America can be a very dangerous place fairly soon, you know, with some of the people that are governing some countries.
Absolutely. The second question that I had, please, would you please personally
find ways to motivate and inspire you. During the event, we did a lot of blogging during the event about, you know, people, and imagine if you're one of those people in the audience, you're going to tell all your friends as fast as physically possible, I'm having dinner with Mariano Rivera watching the Yankee game. Yeah, it's pretty amazing stuff. And then afterwards, obviously, it becomes, you know, social media becomes just an avalanche of social media. Everybody, and obviously we, you know, it's in our interest, we help drive some of that, but it's like, you know, anybody who was there talks about this great experience around, you know, around the experience with El Duque. And this is one example. In other sports, we had one example with the other priceless experience I'll mention real quick. We did some work with the Giants, the football Giants, American football. They won the Super Bowl, and we got a call from the Giants the night after they won the Super Bowl that said, this big parade, millions of people show up for this big parade, and they called and said we can get 10 cars around great golf tournaments. This year we have 60 pieces of content. And we've produced 60 pieces of content that we're going to air on TV, we're going to distribute in social media, we're going to use it as an engine to kind of get the word out about all the cool golf experiences that we have. So again, everything from buying spots to doing some interesting things around digital to pushing around different content and giving consumers some great experiences. We've done the same thing in golf. That's a really express example. I just wanted to hit on the going from 0 content to 58 unique pieces of content in 1 year. And then I'm going to turn it over to Vinny.
And the first one that I want to show with you is Sony Open. And basically, what I want to share with you is how we own that here. Basically, the structure is the same adventure. It's like, okay, let's talk about what is everybody, we did in every our programs. We have a tiers of offers and rewards that everybody can access. And then we have privilege access for specifically some card holders. And then we have the most important thing, that is the experience.
And many others. Al Visitar. 12 merchant vignettes were produced with completely original footage showing consumers specific merchants in each city. On April 17th, Capitales del Football premiered simultaneously across 8.
We are really strong now. The other thing that is important share with you now is the brand, the global value ranking that we called a month ago. I'm going to read this because it's really important. Brand Z, delivery across the own channels and delivery.
We are hungry. We are hungry.
It was a really innovative approach, I think, in the market, where we used our ESPN Fan Forum panel, which is really a panel of sports fans in Latin America. The study was done pan-regionally, and the main markets of focus were Argentina, Brazil, Mexico, Colombia, and Venezuela. What were the craziest things that they did, for sports, who they are, who is the core sports fan in Latin America. And there we had over 1,500 participants in the study. The second phase was a mobile research study, and there we had about 75 participants. And there were 4 smartphone surveys. We did 2 short surveys every 2 weeks. 75 participants really talked about the devices that they're using, as well as how they interact with sports with their friends and their family. And the third was a discussion board. And this was really an open forum where they were able to talk about 6 main topics in sports, 15 questions, and we had 50 fans. We wanted to understand how they depict themselves viewing sports, how do they understand, the impact of these special sporting events in their lives, as well as their reaction to brands that sponsor big sporting events.
Que nosotros vimos y quisimos estar adentro de las historias, adentro de las vidas de estas personas, era entender un poco lo que sentía un fan. Pero no cualquier fan, sino realmente un fan real, un fan que esté 24 horas conectado a lo que es el deporte, a lo que es su equipo preferido, su equipo favorito, sus atletas, a lo largo de todos los países. Una de las cosas que nos dimos cuenta también es que no importa el país en donde la gente está, no importa la edad, no importa nada, lo que es un fan, uno lo reconoce por donde camina, lo reconoce por donde vaya en la calle. Y este fan es capaz de hacer cualquier cosa por su equipo, por su grupo. Nosotros lo que quisimos preguntar en este estudio, para poder ir contando una historia, la historia de este fan, es cuál es la cosa más loca que se les ocurrió hacer por deporte, o cuál es la memoria más lejana, la memoria que se les relaciona con la infancia, con su familia, con sus rutinas. Y esto es lo que la gente nos contestó, dicho con sus propias palabras.
Fanático de River. Y les cuento una anécdota que cuando el día que murió mi abuela, tuve que tomar una decisión y no fui al velorio. Decidí ir a ver un partido amistoso de fútbol, que todos ustedes ya saben, un partido entre River y Boca nunca es un amistoso, y tuve que tomar esa decisión. Y lo primero que viene a la mente siempre será River Plate.
The devices that we asked in the questionnaire, laptop with 64% and computer with 66% were the top choices. And they really use these devices to follow sports and watch videos. Next up is radio with 50% and smartphones with 40%. And they're using these devices to follow their favorite sports teams. And with 15%, mobile is really being used to look up scores and top news stories in the world of sports. Now, social media has really played a key role in this, as sports are now always present. What we found is that 44% of Latin Americans use social media sites in general, more so than they used to access sports content. Social media sites that are visited regularly for sports include Facebook, with 75% of respondents, 47% said Twitter, and 41% YouTube. Do any of you guys wonder what a female would have said? Facebook, that's right. That's right. That's what we found. Most females are using Facebook for their sports fix. And Alfonso, what about you?
Twitter.
Twitter. You know, the guys, they want that sports update now.
Trabajamos con esa gente mientras que estaba conectada al celular y lo pudimos hacer porque realmente en Latinoamérica, y no pasa solamente esto en Europa o en Estados Unidos, la gente está con sus celulares mirando, siguiendo los eventos. Entonces lo que nosotros pedimos a la gente que estaba ya involucrada en el panel era si querían participar. Una vez que la gente dijo que sí quería participar en el estudio con nosotros, les fuimos mandando mensajes para que la gente nos conteste en el momento en el que estaba expuesto al evento. Un pequeño resumen de los 4 pilares que nosotros tocamos en el estudio. El primero de ellos fue, nosotros le pedimos a la gente que nos mandara fotos, que nos contara las historias de lo que estaba pasando. No es que la gente escribía, sino que realmente lo hizo de una forma bastante visual, como hoy en día uno lo puede encontrar en Pinterest. Y lo primero que trabajamos es cómo cambian las rutinas de las personas alrededor del deporte. Claramente el deporte quiebra normas, la gente se adapta, cambia los lugares de la cama presentes, por qué las recordaban, con qué las asociaban, no con un day after recall, como se hacen muchos de los estudios, sino en vivo mientras que la gente estaba en el evento. Y la gente recordaba las marcas, las asociaba, nos contaba por qué las recordaba, y las cosas más importantes que nosotros levantamos, y un poco es lo que decían en la presentación anterior, es que cuando las marcas realmente entienden esta necesidad, esta pasión, se conectan con estas emociones, tienen algo para contar y para compartir, entonces de esa forma la gente logra ubicarlas en su día.
So we would like to leave you today with 5 key takeaways to go home with.
Bueno, como hemos visto, todo el tiempo pensando, respirando deporte.
Exactly, that goes in line with sports being omnipresent. Sports are always available nowadays. They're present all the time across various devices, across social media. So you get your access 24/7, as we've said various times.
En una relación de 360 grados con lo que está pasando, viviendo y respirando también cada evento.
Brands need to tell a story, especially when it comes to sporting events. You know, we need to generate unconditional emotion in fans and recall more passionately what's going on with that sport and the fan.
Y claramente, para tener en cuenta, los deportes sí quiebran normas, pueden quebrar relaciones, pueden romper matrimonios, pueden ir un poco más allá de lo que nosotros podemos imaginarnos. No hay que quedarnos hasta ahí, sino que hay que empujar por más y lograr quebrar estas normas. Nos vemos en Brasil.
Brazil, or how different is Brazil, or how unique is Brazil. We know it's big, but today we're gonna have a different approach. They said, Diego, you don't understand, Mexicans are different. And then you go to Brazil, and what they said, Diego, você no comprende. Brazilians are different, and they try to explain why they are different. For a sense, if you work across markets in Latin America, Brazil of course is a bit different because they have a different language. But it is that the only thing that makes them different, or they are not that different, right? Because we know they are big, but so is Mexico, and potentially you have other markets that are potential. So what is this myth about Brazil being a big hairy monster under the bed? Is it really that or not? So over the last 3 years, and since the announcement of the World Cup and the Olympics, everyone is focusing on Brazil. Everyone is focusing on Brazil. And apparently it's really hard to work with Brazil.
How many people have seen any advertising from Open English? Just want to see if there's a few people there. All right, good. Fantastic. So you see the ads mostly in Latin America, of course, right? Does anyone want to contribute? Which is your favorite ad? Fernando? Football player. All right, so just kind of like to set the context, right? So the reason I ask is we're very TV-centric with our marketing approach. And for those of you that don't know us, our strategy has been to use a very unique type of humor in our advertisements. It's a little bit irreverent, to tell you the truth, the humor, but it has worked very well. And I touch on that because, you know, as Diego was talking about, you know, what's common and what's different between Latin America and Brazil, we've chosen humor because to us, humor is a universal language. Right?
It's all the same. It's difficult for a Brazilian company to succeed in Latam outside Brazil. Again, management team, language barriers. I think for a Latin company to succeed in Brazil is very difficult. The other element that so I can pass the word to my Brazilian colleague is that in different cities, in Argentina, in Bogota, I mean in Colombia, God lives in Bogota. You want to do your passport, you gotta go to Bogota. In Buenos Aires, in Argentina, you want to do your passport, you gotta go to the you want to do the visa, American visa, you gotta go to Buenos Aires. In Brazil it's different. I think that God doesn't live in Brasilia. You have many important cities. I mean, you have Brasilia, which is the capital of the country.
Mario was explaining how important it is to understand the consumer in Brazil, the cost, the media cost. If we are a media agency, so if we look in terms of CPMs, maybe it's not that high, but it is a high entry level to invest. There is a tax and bureaucracy, and we have to understand the structure. But how different is that from another country? If you go to Mexico, Colombia, or Argentina, you still have to understand the consumer, you still have to understand the tax structure, and you still have to understand what is the actual cost of the investment. Gaston talked a little bit about the need of a local team and to have knowledge and the management team, how important it is if you're going to Brazil. And I think that is true. If you are going to invest in the largest market in Latin America, you better ensure you have an executive team ready and with local knowledge and with local connections. I'm sure, as in any other Latin American country,
again, I want to reinforce the idea of having, whether you're going to invest through online or through TV, or you're going to push an e-commerce platform, having the right management team, it is the most important thing, and your priority zero. And then priority one is, don't forget priority zero. And that is a challenge, to find the right people to operate locally. Someone who understands, what to do and how to do it. And I believe that all these markets, I think the real common similarity is that face-to-face shaking hands and un bon churrasco faz muita diferença. And if you go to England, or maybe England yet, but if you go to Germany, or you go to Tel Aviv, it's no bullshit, it's just the conversation, what's the business all about, and in Brazil you can get things if you know people. The other thing I think companies like Twitter, Netflix, Waze, companies we work with.
So there's less friction in trying to generate a sale. You have higher credit card penetration than most Latin American countries. And there's one very important feature. Not every Latin American country has it. I know Colombia does, but it's this idea that you can pay in installments. So, but without interest, right? So you
Tres
choose
meses sin interés.
3 meses sin interés, 12 meses sin interés. En Colombia hasta 24. Pero not every country has that, but that makes things much more accessible to the community, and they become less price sensitive, especially the emerging middle class, right? Where if there's a little bit more of a pressure on budget, the question doesn't become how expensive this is, but can I fit it into my monthly budgeting process? And that gives you a big boost. So consumer electronics, opening.
And there's a lot of people who have access and there's a lot of people that can consume now because they have more poder adquisitivo. So in terms of conclusions, I I don't know. You tell me. There is the need of understanding the market, understanding the consumer, and that need replicates across any market in the region. You have local players. It's very important to understand how to do local business in Brazil. What is the difference between that and Colombia or Mexico? There's none. In fact, I think in Mexico it's the priority number one to close a business in un almuerzo de 5 horas. If you know what I mean. It's the same everywhere, right?
You have to think very hard about your business model. You have to think very hard about your go-to-market strategy. There's a lot of similarities. There's some differences, and they can get you. They're tricky. I'll give you one that we haven't talked about. Yeah, look, we're all Latins, right? We're all in Latin America. I gotta tell you, sometimes Brazil feels like a different continent. It just happens to be in South America. But the one thing that you cannot get wrong is the following. Do not talk to Brazilians as if you're a Spanish-speaking Latin American. It ain't gonna work, okay? If they feel for a second that you're just translating from Spanish to Portuguese, that's not gonna work. And they're vocal, and they will let you know. They will let you know. They're very, very vocal. So respect